So hey everyone, I'm Murwarid. So when I was asked to speak to you all today, I'm going to be super honest. I was pretty terrified. What could I say that could be of value? So I went round and asked a few people in the office what they thought my strengths were and what I could share with a group of aspiring sales reps. And time after time, the response was about building internal champions. For someone like me who will talk to everyone, this might come naturally. I'm comfortable with reaching out, which in turn leads me to form strong bonds at work. A lot of what I say might sound really obvious, but in reality, most salespeople don't do this stuff well. And as much as speaking to customers, a sales job is all about managing internal processes and therefore an extremely important aspect of our jobs. It's all about controlling the narrative with people you work with. And a lot of the time, that means having to be brave and bold. That's why I've chosen to echo and speak around a piece of advice that my mentor, who I know is on the call, hello, always pushed me to live by, which has been by far the most valuable thing to learn to do as part of my sales career. And that's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. This means putting yourself in situations that don't come naturally to you and that you can learn from. That's also part of the reason I'm here today. As I imagine, like many others, doing a talk like this is very much out of my comfort zone, but I believe there's a lot I can learn from it and hopefully some value I can share with you all today. So I'd like to break down this theme of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable into two different aspects of our lives as sales reps. The first being through bettering ourselves to do our jobs more effectively, and the second being to build our brands internally. This doesn't mean to have a good brand, you have to be a LinkedIn sales influencer. I, for one, know that's not where my strengths and interests lie, but it's more about finding what you're good at and where you can add value within your organization. So if we look at point one, bettering ourselves to do our jobs more effectively. Organizations are always on the lookout for people that are hungry to learn. And the only way we can keep getting better is to understand our weaknesses as well as our strengths. You have all heard the term thrown in at the deep end. And let me tell you, I have had my fair share of this that at first mortified me. But as soon as I learned that failing fast and learning from my mistakes was the thing that made me learn the fastest, the more I did it, the better I handled those situations. It can seem very daunting. Naturally, we want to go onto a call and be perfect. But in reality, sometimes we mess up and just know that's okay. The best thing we can do is learn and develop from our experiences and hold ourselves accountable to our own success. We can do this in a few ways. Practice your pitch with a colleague, set up 15 minutes after a call to ask for feedback. If you've drafted a really killer email, ask for some honest advice. Finally, give yourself credit for what you smashed, but always look to how you can better yourself and how to go that next level up. So these are all things that don't come naturally a lot of the time, but getting comfortable with doing activities like these allows you to be the best sales rep you can be. We can also look at it from a higher level, which mostly comes from trying new things. For example, working at different size organizations gives you exposure to different environments and skills. Challenging yourself by working a new solution set or industry, or if you have the opportunity to, even working on a new market. Doing all of these things for me personally not only exposed me to different ways of working outside of what I was used to, but challenged me and made me learn where my interests lie. So moving over to the second topic, internal champion building and building your personal brand within your organization. So we all know the power of networking. The way I landed my first sales role was following a conversation I got into whilst working in the pub with someone who actually happened to be the CEO of a small local tech provider. This was a relationship that I formed really naturally that ended up starting my whole journey into tech sales. So why then, when we're within an organization, does it have to be any different? We're surrounded by amazingly successful people that we can learn so much from. Getting exposure by meeting people from different teams unlocks so much potential. You eventually find people that have the same interests as you. For example, if there's an initiative you want to run or a change you want to make in the organization, it's invaluable to find like-minded people. There's so much power in having confidence to meet people and to talk to people and to challenge the norm. Actually, very recently, I was struggling with getting access into one of my accounts. After going on a LinkedIn stalk, I found a new sales director in my organization who knew the CIO of the business. I found the aligned SDR to the team, found out where that director was sitting in the office, and as soon as they returned from a meeting, pounced on them to say hello, and in fact told them they'd been victim of my stalk. So even though this may have been awkward as hell, I met a new director who I now have a great relationship with, but I also got a warm introduction into my contact. So I'd say my top 3 tips of ways to build your brand include joining different groups across the organization, whether it's to do with an interest, a hobby, or an initiative. So I always knew I was the type of person that loved bringing people together. So being the persona of a culture champion was something that really excited me. A huge perk of working in a startup meant this wasn't an organization that existed. So I championed the value of running team events, found budgets, and ran them. Having joined a bigger organization, however, where there's already an established group, I immediately got involved and ran our first Headshots to Help initiative, where we organized for a professional photographer to come into the office to give people a refresh on their LinkedIn photos in exchange for a donation. Not only did we raise a ton of money, but I got the chance to meet 80 new people that I wouldn't usually cross paths with. The second is leveraging people's expertise in the business. If you hear on a call that someone's done something great, message them, ask them about it. If someone's booked a meeting in a really creative way, ask them how and what they did. Be seen to always want to learn and get better, and take the blockers out of your mind of being afraid of seniority, because the further you go up in the organization, the further the execs are from the detail. And this is what they really need to know to run the organization effectively. The final is changing the flow, being a challenger and sharing what you know. We're all good at something. Share this with others. Is your new organization trying to do something you've been through in the past with another company? Share your learnings. Work collaboratively across teams. Granted, some organizations will allow you to do this more than others, but I found that a great example of a link to form is between sales and marketing. Communication about what you're seeing in the market, because you guys are the ones out there on the phones having conversations every day. So feedback how best they can support you further this. It's important to always be thinking, what can I do to make my boss's job easier? And what great ideas do I have that can help the business? Always share them. Sales reps, just like you, have an immense amount of opportunity to make an impact. Find what excites you and what you're good at by putting yourself in new situations, and make relationships to get your ideas heard. I want you all to go away later today to think about one thing you've been really nervous to do, and come in tomorrow and just do it. And then maybe message me on LinkedIn and let me know how it went. But don't be scared. Thanks, guys.